I am getting to talk to so many amazing people. I am with Robert Mahoney, TVTP Solutions, and you're here at Deeper Learning New York, the Lunch Live podcast. So we will at the end, and I want to put at the end, make sure folks get the website, make sure they understand how they can access connecting with you and your services. You're running a deep dive, but first, a little bit of your experience. You were here since the beginning. We had students. We kind of set the context. Energy. What are you feeling?
Oh, it's an excellent conference. It's fantastic. It's a lot of creative thought.
Yeah.
And it's really good to just get people together, hear people's different perspectives and things like that. To know that some of the, maybe your worries or your anxieties are not just yours. It's a lot of other people. And
totally.
Then you kind of come together in that camaraderie of like, oh, we're all in this problem together. What are some creative solutions to help move things along?
Right. So your work, right?
Yeah.
School safety.
Yeah.
One of the most complex issues. Some really linear thinking often about it.
Yeah.
Others pushing on like this expansive definition of how we should be thinking about it, reactive and proactive and everything. So I just want to kind of first hear, and then I'm curious about your session, but I first want to hear how are you thinking about school safety in this complex world, and share with our listeners kind of that perspective, because there's a bazillion websites with services. Something you're doing is different. Mm-hmm. So share a little bit about who you are and philosophy.
So TVTP is an acronym for Targeted Violence and Terrorism Prevention. Okay, and I think that's really the key there. We believe that these types of targeted violent events that we're seeing in schools are actually preventable. I think a lot of schools have moved into protection or preparedness. Right, you're doing something to protect yourself, or you're preparing to respond. Right, you're not doing actual prevention. For the event to actually not occur, and so that's where we're a little bit different from most school securities, where you'll have a consultant kind of come in, do a threat assessment, a site threat assessment, and say, okay, cameras should be there, metal detectors there, armed guards here or there, SROs, whatever it is. But they're not really taking into account the sort of the human dynamic, as you mentioned, the sort of linear approach. Humans don't interact in their behavior in a linear fashion. We're very irrational. We don't follow the script in a lot of different ways. No, many of the times we don't even know why we do what we do. A lot of it is sort of either subjective, or it's it's in the back part of the brain rather than in the logical part of the brain. And so trying to tap into that for not only for admin, staff, but also with students, of how that radicalization sort of takes place, how you get into the grips of radicalization, and then what it looks like as you move down the pathway of violence, so that people are more prepared not just to look for risk factors, but actually identifying behavioral indicators. Because what we see with each different attack, and when you research the person that does the attack, you see a character arc filled with sort of one-off innocuous type instances. But then when we post-rationalize everything, we're like, oh, that's where we should have intervened. It was part of a larger picture, that because they were just one-off things, we didn't really meld it all together to see that this was a growing threat.
And because I think when people think about the sessions that are being offered here, a lot of this is rooted in access and belonging work. It's pedagogical shifts that we're talking about. We're talking about leadership in lots of the sessions and constructs to shift and change schools. And then we've got like this school safety session. So why? But I think as you continue to talk, really the connective tissue for you as a match for this type of conferences, talking about humans. Right? And we're talking about how to identify earlier, intervene, provide support, right? I think we can all agree, right? If if we didn't have to talk about that'd be great.
Yeah.
Right. Like if school violence and school terrorism wasn't a topic, great. I'd be happy with that. But it's a current reality.
Right.
And so I'm really excited that we're bringing this particular thinking and approach to our schools. So you've got school leaders in your session.
Yeah.
What does that look like today? We run these deep dives. So like typical conferences, right? You're bouncing around. Maybe you're in a 90-minute session max. This is a full day. What are you doing with them? How are you interacting with them? What's their experience as leaders as they work with your session?
Well, I think how they interact is identifying a lot of the foundational things that they already have at the school that they just need to amplify.
Yeah.
Right. So you go around, you hear teachers talk about, or principals or assistant principals. I wear many hats to many different people, and I'm putting out fires, and I'm taking on a lot of complaints and all this other stuff. So there are a lot of different things to a lot of different people. What they may not understand is that with each sort of interaction, you are providing a sense of value to that person. You're listening to them. You're hearing what their concerns are, and you're trying to act on it. And that gives somebody a sense of community.
Right.
I can say for a fact that, there are 3 pillars that sort of lead people down a path of radicalization, and sort of a identity, community, purpose. If those things begin to drain low, we begin to search out for them.
Right.
Okay. And so we look for sort of like a magnetic north. Well, where are the strongest magnets? They're at the poles.
Right.
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 And so it's not so much the message that is getting to the person, it's everything that comes with it.
Right.
So it's like, oh, this is a community here.
Right.
And they're all speaking the same sort of language. There's an identity here, and there's a purpose. They're trying to stop something, or they're trying to do something, or they see some sort of threat to the country, or whatever it is.
Right.
And that provides them with those 3 pillars.
Yeah.
Right. And then that gets distilled down into value. I have value now. I have this.
Right.
And so a lot of the approaches of intervention in schools is more linear. It's fact-based.
Right.
I'm going to try and change your opinion on this, and I'm going to try to include facts. That actually doesn't work. You become more entrenched because what happens is that I'm now combating with your identity.
Right.
I'm combating with your purpose in life, and therefore you are going to dig in your heels and say no, and you get further entrenched. So what you have to do is create a pathway that is more sort of like looks better. Right. That is something that I want to use my time, or I can find another type of purpose or identity here that's a lot less violent or a lot less corrosive.
And so you've got these kind of 2 places on these magnetic poles. You've got identity, community, and purpose as these indicators that wherever that's going to be strongest can pull. And I believe, often, right? I'm talking with school leaders, and I go to vision and mission statements that say these things that are in this school. Our students are going to be global citizens and connect and community minded. And then we talk about like, okay, so where in your schedule, where in your value set is this happening? And because identity, community, and purpose are not intentional design in school. And so really at the heart of this deeper learning work is centering those things. Like how are you building student identity? How are you building community? How are you building connection to purpose? And I think if we can get schools moving in that direction, the magnetic pole that we hope students are pulled to, which isn't the one that starts to drive radicalization, are the schools that we want to keep. So Robert Mahoney, TVTPsolutions.com.
Yep.
Menu of offerings.
Yep.
Close us out. Tell us overview, some of the services, how to contact you, all of that stuff.
There's a contact right on the website. Again, TVTP solutions.com. We can do awareness trainings. We can do technical trainings. You can contract me to do, projects and stuff like that to establish this sort of culture of prevention. I can do an assessment and things like that. So it's really a bespoke service because every school has a little different dynamic. We try to tailor all of our services to that. So it's just going to be about me having a conversation with whomever I contact. What is the makeup of the school? What are you looking to get out of this?
Yep.
And then sort of working backwards. Okay, if this is your end goal, then what has to be true? And then we'll tailor our services to that.
That's awesome. And I do want to point out, I think, something you said earlier, identifying things that schools are already doing. Like you have these assets, let's amplify them. It's not always about like buying a new program or what have you. So I deeply appreciate that. I know, that's not how all, companies or groups that are out there trying to help schools show up. So appreciation for that. Appreciation for you being here, being a presenter. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to say one thing to that is it. I understand that this is a hard thing to sort of numerically metric out. Right. But what I will say is, you're feeling in an environment that feels safe. You can't really quantify that.
No.
And you can't feel, so one of the types of things that I try to say is, you can't really quantify that your cameras are working or that your metal detector is working and stuff like that. So this is a much more palatable approach towards things. And I find that schools actually like it a lot more. Parents like it a lot more. Staff like it a lot more. They feel more empowered. They're more on the front foot rather than having a defensive posture of just waiting for something bad to happen.
No, and we were going to tail off, but we're back in. So, in terms of the quantification, right? Like if identity, community, and purpose you can't feel that when you walk into a school, then instruction isn't going to happen. Growth isn't going to happen. So, as we think about this definition of safety, right? Like students feeling connected with purpose and identity as school safety is a baseline requirement to do anything.
Absolutely.
So just
it fixes your attendance problem. It fixes your turnover rate problem. It fixes, the violence problem. It's multidisciplinary, drug problem, gang problem, whatever the issue, substance abuse, whatever it is.
Starts with that. With that core. Yep. Awesome.
Hey.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Grab some lunch if you haven't already, and have an awesome second half of the day.
Thank you so much.
All right. Take care.